And now for the Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with the voice of the Coyotes, Tyler Henry. And now, here's Tyler.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in for another installment of the Kansas Wesleyan Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. So good to be with you once again. We're joined here at the top of the hour by co-interim head coaches David Leonard and Chris Snyder. And gentlemen, first and foremost, as always, thank you so much for taking some time and sitting down with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
So you guys are coming off of a big win over Avila, 38-3. You get it on homecoming weekend. We'll do a deep dive here, but before we do, overall, what were your just kind of general thoughts about the way your team played for 40 minutes?
Well, I think it was a really good 20 minutes, and then we just got to figure out how to carry that over into the second half. But yeah, I mean, we started fast, which is always great. Now we got to put a whole game together and finish strong.
Yeah, kind of again the piggyback. I feel like Coach and I will be piggybacking a lot, but yeah, and also really just proud of the kids. The week they had to what they experienced previously, and then have a good work week. We had no issues with attendance at practice. Everybody was coachable, and I think you just saw that carry on into at least the first half of the game, and then. Some things we need to definitely address, but it's always easier to address some things when you win a ball game.
Well, and let's talk about, I did want to kind of talk about the game in two halves. Something we talked about with Coach Snyder and Coach Leonard. I'll be curious to get your thoughts. I thought the one thing you guys could not afford to do was start flat in that game, and you certainly didn't. You played a nearly perfect first half, 4 touchdowns on 5 drives offensively, 2 turnovers, a defensive touchdown. You had 6 first half sacks. You didn't allow any points. I thought you guys set the tone fast. You set the tone early, and really that kind of just dictated the way that game was going to go.
Yeah, I think we talk about it quite a bit. We want to start fast, and we did a great job with that, executing on offense, and we made some great plays on defense, obviously. And the biggest thing is for us to understand that we can't be an offense and defense that is strictly going off of momentum. We have to be able to create that. So if things aren't going well, we have to be able to re-jumpstart either the offensive side or defensive side. But yeah, great start, and I think that really built confidence in the guys, and that carried us on.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have the momentum going, both sides are playing well early, and even special teams. Starting the game to be able to, I think Cole kicked it touchback into the end zone. That's kind of like, here we go. This is how we're going to start things. So it was really good. And again, the sideline presence during, even in the second half, that's something, as a coach, everybody's positive, and seeing guys, starters cheering for the backups. Those are all good signs of a program. I think, kind of like what I said on the radio, I'm probably jumping ahead here, and it's something that Coach Salina and I kind of talked about, like just being able to play well when you're winning, the second half, just handling, like we have a lead that doesn't mean you take the foot off the gas pedal. And I don't think we did, but when you have that many penalties, it just kills the momentum, it kills the morale, and it felt like the longest third quarter that anybody has ever been a part of in any kind of athletic event. But and that's something we'll preach, that we'll be preaching during the week leading up to St. Mary's.
Well, and on the scoreboard, it felt like the work was kind of done after the first half overall. Obviously, I know you said you don't want to let your foot off the gas, but things got just, I think, a little wonky was the word that I used on the radio in the second half. A lot of penalties, as you mentioned, a lot of free yards. I know the offense slowed down a little bit. When you had a chance to step back and break down the film, and Coach Snyder, I'll come to you on this first. What did you see in that second half?
Yeah, wonky is a nice word to use. Even them, you look at them and the penalties they had. It was just a sluggish game. I don't know if they wanted to be out there. We talked at halftime to we really wanted to put an end to this. Make them to not want to be on the field, and it's almost like it backfired because our kids played hard, but we just did some foolish things. And again, they're great kids on the team. And that's what leaves you scratching your head. I had a couple kids during the game come up on defense and apologize to me, like, "Oh, I can't believe I did that. I'm sorry." And instead of us having to go seek them out, they were coming up and being apologetic. So again, you're looking for the positives. Again, this is something that we can fix. Good. We have a lot of good things to build on, and obviously some things to correct.
every group played well, but I did want to highlight the defense here for a moment. You guys put up a program record 8 sacks in this game, 3 interceptions, a scoop and score on defense. You didn't allow any touchdowns through the whole game. You only allow the 3 points for the whole contest. I mean, Coach Leonard, did you feel like this was the game where that group really put everything all together?
Yeah, I think so. I think this defense has always been predicated and runs off of everyone doing their job, and I think Saturday was a really good example of that. D-line getting pressure, secondary and great coverage, same with the linebackers, and it led to turnovers, it led to picks. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a full team working together because certainly with this defense and how it operates, if one part of the chain breaks, and then it's all over. So, it was good to see team football, and it was good to see guys having fun, fly around. Now we just need to understand and mature a little bit. Every crew is different. They call things a little bit different. And if we can make those adjustments based off of how the game is being called, we'll be, continue to be in good situations because I think the talent is there, the want to is there. So it was exciting to see them really put it together and have success.
Well, and Coach Snyder, I feel like one piece of this too, that, maybe we didn't have a chance to talk about post game, but that defense, we've seen what they can do, especially when they're rested. I think rested has maybe been an issue this year, but as the offense got things together, as they strung drives together and stayed on the field, I thought that was what we saw. You guys have the depth on defense. Did you feel like just spending a little less time out there maybe helped bolster that unit?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, the offense putting together some more drives, staying on the field longer, it's something we definitely preached. And like I said, post game after the Avila game, just talking, something I addressed with the quarterbacks is use your feet, even if it's a 4-yard scramble. You got to keep us on the field. And I think the defense feels good. When they see the offense that we're close to scoring or we're driving, their confidence kind of goes up. And it also about that game was, I feel like we were able to play a lot more kids. I feel like we played some more receivers. You saw some more receivers with catches. I believe we wound up playing 4 running backs. I know defensively played a lot of kids too, and that's great for the program and for the morale, and it also keeps kids getting fresh for the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, and you led me right into my next question. You guys played a ton of guys. If that pace sustains through the year, defensive coordinators are just going to have like a red thread board trying to figure out how exactly you defend it. Again, you guys have had good depth all season long, but how big was it to kind of get more kids involved, and how unpredictable do you feel like that kind of makes you as an offense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive thing. We've always preached having good depth, and getting guys more reps and their confidence up allows us to utilize that more. It just builds their confidence. It builds our confidence in them that they're able to go out there and execute and do their assignment. So to have that game experience, I mean, that's something that's irreplaceable. So going forward, I think it's a big thing that we'll continue to work off of.
Yeah, I just think, again, coming off of the week we had going into Avila, again, great home environment, couldn't ask for anything more. But, when kids play and they feel like they're being coached and loved and they're part of it, it only bolsters things. Moving forward, we should have expecting to have good practices the remainder of the season. Everybody's bought in, and it's easier to be bought in when you feel like, hey, I'm playing or contributing, or I'm at least going to get a shot.
Last thing on last week, but I did want to ask, again, it seemed like Byron McNair has been able to work back in. He looked pretty comfortable for the most part through the air, on the ground, but Richard Lara's also stepped up and played some good ball here. I mean, do you feel like it's just kind of a convenient blessing to have 2 quarterbacks that can go out and split the load, or is the plan maybe to tilt one way or the other? Not to give up your game plan or anything, but just how do you guys feel about the quarterback situation going into next week?
Yeah, I think, there is a saying, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one, but we're in a unique situation because you're having a kid come back, McNair, from injury, and there was no way I felt comfortable starting him, even though you don't want to punish a kid, hey, injured, but that's just a position that if you don't, it's just hard to come back with the bullets flying right away. So I think it was good to ease him back into that. And then also the players around him know it's still the same McNair, and they got to see him play. And again, you get kids that are invested, and you are always just one play away from the number 2 kid going in at any position. So I feel like at that position, they both have a lot of game reps so far this season. And
I do think Coach Bauer did a really fantastic job of game planning for that, to utilize both guys. Both guys had a week of practice. And so, that's something that that Coach Bauer, I think, did a really, really good job of making sure that both of those guys knew that, they were going to get reps, and they both felt confident in the game plan, and they went out and executed. So.
Well, last thing for you here, guys, we'll start with you, Coach Leonard. Overall, what are the biggest challenges that you see from St. Mary on film when you have a chance to scout your upcoming opponent here in the Spires? And what are your biggest keys to the game for KW to roll the 2-0 here in Bissell play?
I think it's very similar to each and every game. Eliminate the big plays. And St. Mary, they take shots, and they have some really good skilled players. They got a quarterback that's going to let it go. And so that's always the challenge. If you can force a team to sustain a drive, and the more plays they have in a drive, the more challenging it is to score rather than, just a one-shot touchdown. So to eliminate the big plays, keep everything in front, rally, tackle, pursuit of the ball, I think is the thing every week. But I think in particular with this team that likes to really take shots downfield.
Yeah, I think, again, challenges, long road trip, 1:00 game, reminding our kids about that, the making sure that the things we've cleaned up, those kind of silly penalties don't pop their head back up in that game. And again, the special teams, that's an easy way to let any team, good or bad, get into a game, is those kind of little mistakes. So, it'll be the same things we preach, but I don't think we overly get caught up on who we play. It's more usually about us, but they definitely, they have good players. Coach Henson has done a great job. He's a great coach. So we're going to get everybody's best. Cause that's just the way it's always been. But yeah, road games in this conference, are always a challenge.
Well, Coach Snyder, Coach Leonard, thank you again so much for your time, and best of luck to your Coyotes this week.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Once again, those were co-interim head coaches David Leonard and Chris Snyder on the KW Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. We'll step away, but when we return, the Coaches Show rolls on here on KINA.
We spend 1/3 of our lives working to build our wealth. With over 50 years of combined experience, Billings Group wants to be there to help manage yours. If you're planning for retirement or looking for financial coaching, then come see us on Westchester Drive, east of the YMCA, or visit our website at billingsgroup.com. Securities offered by registered representatives through Private Client Services, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory products and services offered by investment advisory representatives through RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. RFG Advisory, Billings Group, and Private Client Services are unaffiliated entities.
When life deals you a bad call, throw the challenge flag and fight for your rights. With more than 110 years of combined experience, the legal team at Carter & Alt Duel in Salina help their clients fight to overturn bad life calls, DUI arrest, divorce, child support, and custody decisions, or protecting your Second Amendment rights. Wade Carter and Charles Alt Duel fight for you every day. Get the winning legal team at Carter & Alt Duel on your side to fight for your rights. Find them on the web at cadlawlc.com. That's cadlawlc.com.
Now back to the Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with Tyler Henry.
Welcome back in here on the KW Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. We're joined now by quarterback Richard Lara. Richard, first and foremost, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So before we get too far into the season, I was curious. You come all the way here from Bakersfield, California. What was it that made you want to come to Salina and become a Coyote here in the first place?
To be honest, it was really just the love that all the coaches showed me when I first came on my visit. And just the confidence that they had in me to come and play quarterback here.
And taking you back even further, when you think back, where did your love for football really begin, and what made you want to dedicate this much time to the sport you play?
Well, I actually loved basketball first. I lived in Denver, Colorado for 5 years. I was born in Bakersfield, but I moved to Denver with my aunt, and I first loved basketball. But then she put me in football, and I always wanted to play quarterback, but I never could because I was a big kid. I was always overweight or whatever. But finally I got my chance when I came back to Bakersfield, and I was a freshman, and they put me at quarterback. And then ever since then, I just, football's been my love, my passion.
And just out of curiosity, what position did you play on the court?
I was point guard.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Well, it makes sense. You go from distributing the basketball to distributing the football, all things equal here on the field.
Yeah.
Where do you personally feel like you've kind of grown the most at quarterback during your time here at KW?
Definitely just experience. I think reading coverages and all that is really what I'm good at. I know where I'm going with the ball all the time now. When I first got here, I was kind of just balling, just going out there and just having fun. And I still am, but it's more like I can see what the defense is doing now and being like, okay, like I know where to go with the ball every time. So I think that's the most thing I've learned here.
There are a lot of new faces here on this offense that, maybe weren't a part of the offense last year, specifically in the guys you're getting the ball to. Who are some guys that you feel like you've really connected with offensively that have really kind of bolstered this offense?
Yeah, definitely. Earl Gray, man, he's really good. I think I would say like beginning of training camp, we didn't really know each other that much. But then like later on, as the season kept going, I got more reps and everything. So we've just come along and gelled really good. Who else? Staples has came along really good too as well. K1 Casey, Woody Banks. I had Woody here for a while, so me and him are always on the same page as well. Yeah.
I was curious. I know things, didn't necessarily go the way maybe that you would have wanted them to last year, but you stuck it out in a spot that a lot of people maybe wouldn't have. What made you want to kind of stick around with the purple and gold and kind of wait for your shot to come back?
To be honest, I just knew what I had to work on, and I knew what I had to do in the off season to get my spot back, and just prepare myself for that. And I think it was just me just kind of betting on myself. And just taking a leap of faith and just staying here where I'm comfortable. I already, I moved a lot. So, I was like, I just want to come out and ball out my last year, just have fun and just get the experience that I've had. So.
Well, it looked like you guys were having a lot of fun last Saturday. Again, the offense, especially in that first half, everything was clicking. The run game, the pass game, you were able to get out of the run a couple of times. What do you feel like was just gelling for you guys on Saturday? Maybe the way that, it has or hasn't earlier in the year.
I think it's just, the sense of unity that we had, especially this week during practice, of the coaching changes and stuff like that. But I think just being there for one another and I think just coming together as a team and really just talking amongst ourselves and also just being a leader to these guys, like they want somebody who's gonna give them the criticism that they need and stuff like that. And I think all our guys are ready for that. And this last week really like we just gelled together a lot during practice and we had a lot of fun. So
we talked a lot about some of the new faces in the receiving core, but I was also curious. This team has also made, I think, some really underrated changes at offensive line. Is that a group that you feel like has been able to kind of step up and give you a little more time, give you a little bit bigger lanes this year?
Yes, definitely. The addition of Easton, and Tony, Dawson, Trail, like everyone on that line, Aiden, Kendall, like everyone has really stepped up. Definitely. Times were like rough in the beginning of the season. But again, like, these last couple of weeks has really brought us like, the sense of unity. So even the line has come together and we just, we talk about game, we talk about life and all that stuff now. So I just feel like we're just all gelling together.
I feel like last week we saw more different guys involved on that offense than we ever have before. Everybody got involved in the running game and the passing game. Obviously, that's going to make you guys tough to cover. But I was curious, are there any guys that have maybe been quiet in the first half of the year that you think might break out down the stretch?
I think... first half. We have a lot of depth, at receiver. We got a lot of depth at running back. I think a guy that could break out potentially Kieran Quarter. He plays X as well, and he hasn't got a lot of opportunity, but in practice, he's been balling out and stuff, and he's just waiting for the opportunity. I feel like he's gonna have a breakout the second half of the season. Buck Taylor, we moved him to S, but he still plays quarterback too. So, he's a guy that we're excited for as well.
We've seen flashes of it when it all comes together, but what, in your opinion, is the strength of this offense as a whole?
I think our running game is our strength. Bauer preaches, run. That's gonna be how we win. But at the end of the day, like, we got guys that can catch the ball. We got guys that can run routes for us. And I feel like definitely like with our offensive line, like, playing better and everything. And I think our pass game is going to open up as well.
Big picture, as an offensive unit overall, where would you still like to see the team maybe take another step forward here as we head into these last 4 weeks and you guys jockey for that playoff position?
Definitely passing. Our passing game is gonna be better and more efficient. And I'm excited for that. Defense is playing well as always. So defense is always going to have our back. We just got to offense just has to pick it up, just a little bit and just open it up more. And I think that's what we're going to do.
Well, and speaking of the passing game, where would you personally like to maybe take another step forward? Obviously, you played well this year, but, where would you like to take another stride as we head into these last 4 games?
I think just definitely for me is taking more shots and trusting these guys more often and just taking more control of the offense, just being confident in every throw that I make. That's the biggest thing for me. I feel like I can make every throw on the field if I really, have confidence behind it. So I think that's my biggest thing I need to improve.
Well, Richard, thank you again so much for your time, sir. Best of luck to your Coyotes here this week.
Sir, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Once again, that was KW quarterback Richard Lara visiting with us here on the show. Our conversation presented, as always, by the Jeff Wells Agency of American Family Insurance. We'll step away, but the KW Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group, rolls on next. You're tuned in right here on KINA.
Harbin Construction has been showing integrity, innovation, and building relationships since 1954. Harbin has been doing amazing commercial contracting work in the Kansas area. A fun fact about KWU: Harbin Construction founded just 6 years after KWU's Memorial Library was built in 1948. This building was dedicated to the 24 students who lost their life in World War II. Students helped transport the books from Carnegie Science Hall to the new building using stretchers. Harbin Construction is a proud sponsor of the KWU Coyotes and sharing history of our Salinas College with you. Harbin, your construction partner for life.
A house fire can destroy everything you've worked so hard for in a matter of minutes. Is your home at risk? Jay's Electric in Salina can help. In addition to electrical inspections to ensure your wiring is up to snuff, Jay's offers affordable smoke detector service plans with both monthly and yearly inspection options available. Are your smoke detectors working properly? Have those batteries been replaced lately? Learn more at jayselectric.com. That's JAES electric.com. Jay's Electric, helping you power through.
Now back to the Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with Tyler Henry.
Welcome back in here on the KW Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. We're joined here by Nolan Jones, D-line coach of your Coyotes. Coach Jones, welcome back to the show here. Back-to-back weeks, sir.
Thanks for having me.
So, one of the best days that a defensive line can have, that's what you guys had against Avila. Before we dig into some of the numbers and the individual guys, what was just your overall thoughts on the way the guys played in the trenches?
That was awesome. That was the most fun I've had in a long time. We talked last week about, working hard Monday through Friday and getting paid on Saturday, and that's exactly what happened. We penetrated the line of scrimmage, got off blocks, used our hands well, and got the guy on the ground. So mission accomplished.
Well, and let's dig into some of the numbers. You guys tie the program record, all-time Kansas Wesleyan record with 8 sacks in this game. You had a lot of pressures too, though, where, it seemed like Williams just had to throw the ball away, didn't have a choice, never let him get comfortable in the pocket. When you're getting that kind of pressure, it feels like it really does take the pressure off of the secondary in a way, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a guarantee. I try to make it to the secondary, especially, pregame and halftime. Like, I want to make sure you guys have nothing to do because the guy's either on the ground or he has to throw a really bad ball into the sideline. So worked out pretty well for us, I think.
Well, and a couple of those bad balls also did go to the secondary, though. 3 interceptions on the day. I mean, it just feels like the whole defense gelled together this week a little better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when all moving parts just kind of fall in, like linebackers doing really well on the reads, coming up on the run, DBs doing their job, locking guys down, getting the ball in our hands as much as possible. That's obviously the goal. And then, D-line, obviously, like I said, stop the run leads to them having to pass, and, mission accomplished again.
As a D-line guy, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Jordan Diggins. Some have been referring to it as the thick six. How fun is it to watch a big man touchdown like that? 50-yard scoop and score for your D tackle.
That was awesome. I should have my stopwatch out to kind of time it, let him know what his 50-yard split was. No, that was great. Jordan, he puts in a lot of work, a lot of time, effort, a lot of film study. So, for him to be rewarded like that, that's great. It's honestly, the group chat for the D-line, it was going insane, just sending pictures of him, like running the ball back and everything. Like, yeah, that's a great time and, good for him.
When you look at the performance like that, I mean, is it a matter of, are there still things you come away from that performance and you say, okay, we still need to improve here? Or is it just a matter of, go do that again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's always things that we got to improve on. I think that, we got to have our gaps a couple times in the run game as far as, like obviously they got a couple good ones on us. I think we still finished with 4 yards rushing allowed, something like that. So, that was really, really good to see. We need to cut down the penalties, obviously, less penalties, like that's going to catch us at some point. So we got to kind of nip that early as soon as possible. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, Leo just kind of, anybody can do, lightning strike once, but can you do that multiple times? I can have a good round of golf tomorrow, but next day, who knows,
Well, that makes one of us. I cannot have a good round of golf tomorrow. One thing that I find really unique about defensive linemen in general, your corners and your safeties, they're all built kind of the same way. It's thin, fast, make sure they can get down the field. Linebackers, stout, fill the blocks. D linemen can be anything. I've seen nose guards that check in, under 200 pounds. I've seen defensive ends that check in over 300. So I wanted to just kind of run through your guys and just get a little piece on what makes each one of these guys special, because they all showed up big on Saturday. They've all been big this year. Let's go ahead and start with a top guy in the conference. Josh King Bradley has just been a wrecker all year.
Yeah, King's awesome. Like he grades out really well, super explosive. Like he came in kind of as an outside linebacker, defensive end guy, and, he gets out blocks well. He's super, quick twitch. He's probably one of the fastest guys we have on the team in general. So when speed, size and speed, I always take speed. That's how our defense is kind of put together.
Another big veteran up the middle, but Dylan Worrell's had a heck of a year as well.
Yeah. Like Dylan, he's awesome. I talked about him last week. He's been with me my entire coaching career. So, really good to see him have some success. And he's just super strong. Like, doesn't have to be a fast guy just because he is just running dudes into the ground. He understands offenses really well. He played offense, so he kind of understands what the formations are going to allow him to do as a nose tackle.
Got to talk about Mr. Scoop and Score himself. Where is Jordan Diggins kind of taking a step forward here this year?
Diggins he's kind of my do-it-all guy. He came in, we've had him at nose, played him at tackle. He's played DN for us. He's asked me every day if he can play linebacker, and after watching him run, who knows? Maybe it's in his future. But he's a jack of all trades. He's one of the smartest dudes we have on the D line. He knows how everything's going. So really, like, freak athlete. He loves to spin move a little too much, I tell him. But he loves it. So do what you like.
And it's lethal when it works.
Absolutely.
The other great thing has been the depth for this defensive line. Again, there's no drop off. We see you guys run anywhere between 6 to 8 guys any given week. So these are technically backups, but let's be honest, they're just like the starters. And We'll start with Sloan Simpson, a guy who's put together an impressive campaign in his own right.
Yeah, Sloan, he's an interesting player. He can play DN, he can play in the interior. Like, he is super strong, and he's a very, very smart guy. Like, really, really good. He's a scholar athlete, in every sense of the term. Does a great job. He understands what's happening, and really, like, his favorite weeks when we played triple option, because that's kind of where he shines the most. Like, he loves getting his hands on tackles and squeezing guys down and just tackling the dive. Like, that's his bread and butter.
I know he's coming off of an injury this year. I know he's kind of spent time on and off the field, but when he's been there, Muhammad Abishar is also just a fun guy to watch up the middle.
Oh yeah, like Mo, he's awesome. He does everything that we ask him to do, and he came in as a defensive end, and we kind of need some more dudes in the interior, and he knows probably the most moves on the defensive line when it comes to the pass rush. He's always, having a good interior pass rusher like him. And also too, like, he's really, really aggressive about stopping the run. Like, dude benches like 400 pounds. So, you can't beat that.
Mo's got to be the only defensive nose guard in the country with 2 picks in one game, right?
Absolutely. He has to be. Somebody's got to check that stat for him. He's asked me about that a couple of times. He's actually kind of disappointed he doesn't have one yet this year. So maybe this Saturday, we'll see.
Well, he only led the conference for 2 weeks in interceptions on the defensive end. Another guy that I know has been banged up this year, but still, he had such a huge impact early in the year. John Opoku Ababio is a guy I know he busts his tail.
Oh yeah, no, he works super hard. He's a dude. I love that guy to death. Like, when he told me he was going to come to school here about 2 years ago, I was super happy because he's a really good cultural guy for us to have around. Great locker room presence. The guys love him. The freshmen love him. That's one thing that I like to see out of my older guys, especially my seniors. And also too, like, as a player, he's another dude. Like, you can put him in the interior and he's just so strong and solid. You can't move him. As a pass rusher too, he has awesome hands, and he also just has the longest arms that anybody's ever had. So, when those are all put together, you can't beat it.
And then the last, it's kind of a combo deal, but a couple of your younger guys that have gotten in and seen some time. And how about Keon Backus with a sack last week? Nigel Lockett's been in the mix. Those 2 guys, and anyone else that I might have missed.
Yeah. Backus, he's awesome. Like, he's a senior this year, so super pumped about him. Kind of getting some time in, getting on the field, and he made the most of it happen. So he's an old high school wrestler, so he probably tackles some of the best that we got on the defense. Lockett, he's great too. Going out, splitting gaps, and he gets so much pressure on the quarterback from the interior, which I think we lacked a little bit in the first half of the season for sure. So right now he's hitting his stride. And then another guy, Caleb Smith, he had a pretty good game on Saturday as well. Long arms, great pass rusher. So excited to kind of see how those guys continue to develop throughout the rest of these next 4 conference games. When
you have a chance to scout your next opponent here on tape, what are the biggest challenges overall that are presented by the Spires offense?
Yeah, their best wide receiver for sure is Michael Kazana, number 7. I'm not sure if I said that name right. He is is by far one of the best receivers we're going to see in the conference, I think, especially on our side. Super fast, great separation. He runs himself open quite a bit. So super excited to kind of see how we match up with him. Their quarterback, he's a seasoned guy. Like, he came in from a junior college, so he has a lot of playing experience. They also have their backup, Covington. He's played against us last 2 years, and he's probably one of the best lefty quarterbacks I've seen in person in a long time. And then up front, like, they run a lot of different things, a lot of different blocking schemes that, we're not really used to. So gonna have to coach up the defense pretty well and kind of see what we can do.
Well, Coach Jones, thank you again so much for your time. Best of luck against St. Mary this Saturday.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Once again, that was Nolan Jones, D-line coach for your Coyotes. We'll step away, but when we return, the KW Coaches Show rolls on, presented by Billings Group. You're listening to it right here on KINA.
With record-breaking enrollment, great new facilities, and top-notch activities, Kansas Wesleyan's the place to be. Whether you want to study nursing, elementary education, criminal justice, or social work, our academic programs will open doors for your future, all while you participate in activities like music, theater, or athletics. Learn more about why KWU's the place to be by visiting kwu.edu. That's kwu.edu.
At Gambino's Pizza, we serve more toppings, more taste, and more value. Our all-you-can-eat buffet, open every day from 11 to 1:30 p.m., is the only pizza buffet in town. For only $13, every member of your family can find something they will enjoy with options like classic and specialty pizzas or the appetizers and desserts. Not in the mood for pizza? You can order a fresh salad, hearty sandwiches, or creamy pasta from the menu. Dine in at the Salina or Hayes location or order online at gambinospizza.com. You're going to love it.
Now back to the Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with Tyler Henry.
Welcome back in here on the KW Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. We're joined now by Jacob Flores, defensive lineman for your Coyote developmental program. And Jacob, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some time and joining us today.
Thank you for having me here today.
So you come to the Coyotes from way of Kerrville, Texas. I was curious, before we get too far into, kind of the season and the way you feel you developed, what made you want to be a Coyote here in the first place?
This program has everything I wanted as a recruit. It's very Christian-based, so there's a great religious affiliation. As well as a great football team. We have incredible coaches. They should be here next year. That's the hope. And if they are, I'm going to be here with them.
It wasn't something that we planned out, but it is kind of interesting to see the way it shaked out, because our first 6 developmental interviews, all of you guys have come from the state of Texas. I talked a little bit with some of the other guys about that, but what is that high school football scene like in Texas? And is it really as big as everybody says?
Oh, it's gigantic. From 4A, from 2A up, it's just big stadiums after big stadiums. Competitive football everywhere. There's athletes across all of Texas that deserve college football opportunities, and some don't get that opportunity. I'm just grateful I was one of them.
Speaking of opportunities, when you were growing up, when you were kind of developing your game before you came here to KW, were there any players that you watched that kind of inspired your game at all coming up?
For me, players like Dwight Freeney, smaller defensive ends, because I'm not the normal stature. I'm only 6'1", which is considered short for my position group, but players like him, his ability to just get off the ball, play physical football, which I aspire to do every play.
Well, and how crucial are, just kind of the moveset that you have and that you have to work with when you can't just kind of rely on bulldozing guys off the edge?
Just being faster than them, using the strength I've been given and the strength I've worked for and my advantage, and just building leverage to allow me to be in the positions I need to be to make plays.
What's the transition been like for you as you've gone from, again, a really good high school football scene now to, developmental play here in the NAIA?
It's been really smooth. We have a great group of guys on developmental, and they all want to be successful. While our record may not show, we're working hard to get better every game. And hopefully, if we play Hastings, we should win that game. That's the plan.
Absolutely. Well, and developmental programs are, kind of unique to the NAIA. What does it mean to you to have a chance where, again, you get picked up here, you have a chance to kind of hone your skills and continue working towards playing on Saturday?
It's a great feeling, honestly. A lot of schools don't have this opportunity to play developmental, and we get to play 7-8 games. Some schools only play 2 if they do play at all. So it's a great feeling to be at the spot where I get to get better at my position and have passion for football and not just sit the bench and not play at all.
Where would you say you've seen your game kind of improve the most since you set foot here on campus?
I'd say my overall just physicality against O-linemen. I was never the biggest. So my junior year, I did play nose guard, which is usually for heavier set people. I was 185 pounds. So being in a situation where I'm big, biggish now, I can
work more on being more physical than the O lineman, because even if there's like a 50-pound difference, I can compete more regularly than I was able to in high school.
I know the goal for any developmental player, obviously, is to get to a point where you are playing on Saturdays. Do you feel like running the same offense and the same plays and kind of the same coverages defensively has kind of helped prepare you for when your number potentially gets called?
For sure. We have a great group of older dudes in front of us that have been helping the younger dudes get better, and I'm thankful to be around them. And when my time is ready, I hope I'm ready, and I hope I can succeed.
You kind of led me right into my next question. I mean, this is like you said, it's a very deep defensive lineman room as far as the top squad is concerned. Who are some guys that you feel like you've been able to kind of learn from throughout your year here?
Right now, I'd say Diggins and King Bradley, as well as Sloan and Dylan Worrell. They've been a great group of guys. They've incorporated me and the rest of our D-line group so well into this program, as well as the other D linemen like Lucero, Pastor, Loney, the newer guys, the newer transfers, and then the new recruits. It's just been a great environment to be around. I'm thankful for all of them so much, because they've been such a breath of fresh air since they all worked so hard.
There's kind of a difference in treatment, it seems, of developmental programs across the NAIA. KW's put a big emphasis on trying to take care of their developmental programs and really give, kind of equal treatment, equal opportunities. Is that something you feel like you've kind of felt and seen throughout the course of this year?
Oh, absolutely. They ended up canceling one of our games just because of injuries. We had enough players, but they wanted us to be healthy enough just in case, as the season goes along, our numbers are called.
Overall, I mean, what have kind of been your thoughts on the way the developmental season has gone so far, if you take these first 5 or 6 games as a package deal?
It's been great. There's been struggles across the board, not just on offense, defense as well. We shouldn't be giving them as much points as we've given up. But it's just been a great learning environment, going against good teams, having good competition just across the board, from O-line to D-line to linebackers and receivers and quarterbacks. Just being able to play against people that were the best high school player, their senior year of high school, and getting that taste of playing against new competition that we're not used to.
Well, and speaking of that new competition, it's been kind of a mix, right? You get 4 or 5 teams that are KCAC schools that maybe KW is a little more familiar with, but you also get a chance to square off against Coffeyville Community College, Benedictine, hopefully Hastings here this week. Overall, what would you say the level of competition feels like when you go into these games?
It's really competitive. There's athletes across the board on developmental for all the teams we play. Coffeyville, for example, it's a big JUCO, one of the best JUCOs in the country, and just playing against players that are going to go D1, that are bounce back D1, has been a great way to see where I'm at, especially with that being the first game of the season. I could see how I've progressed from my senior year to my first game in college.
One last game here coming up for the developmental team on Sunday against Hastings. Overall, what would you say are the things that you're looking to improve the most in that game, and where does the team need to succeed to pick up a big win here to cap off the year?
I'd say just playing more physical. We started off the game slow against Bethel, and it cost us an early touchdown, and eventually we just crumbled near the end of the game. But just keeping our energies high and just playing the football I know we can play as a unit.
Well, Jacob, thank you again so much for your time. Best of luck to your Coyotes this week.
Thank you, sir. I hope you have a great day.
Once again, that was developmental defensive lineman Jacob Flores here on the KW Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. And that'll just about wrap it up for us here on the show. But a reminder, KW is back in action coming up here this Saturday as they travel to take on St. Mary. It's the Cadlock Countdown to Kickoff show beginning at noon with kickoff set for 1 o'clock. Developmental plays this Sunday at 2 o'clock. That'll wrap it up here for the KW Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. But until next time, we'll see you around on KINA.
This has been a presentation of Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with Tyler Henry, brought to you by CADLaw and Eagle Communications on the Kansas Wesleyan University Network and KINA.